So this is video 99. Yeah, hi. How are you? Life and stuff. And I started thinking what I would want to do for this video. Now again, like maybe I should recap why I started with all of this. But I'm just gonna talk about what happened with me today actually. And I want us to keep in mind, I feel the way I'm doing these videos is the same way that I always interact with myself anytime I'm kind of like trying to figure something out. There's always a fun way of doing this, and there's always like I always figured out that if it's not fun doing what I'm doing, then I shouldn't do it. And for 10 years I lost myself, and I was doing something that was completely not fun, and every once in a while I get a splurge of energy to go and fuck up again because the base was not there. So this is basically a literal translation of my experiences, and I think the purpose of these series was specifically because I was never able to find online. I was never able to find online like actual random transitions for certain things where we're able to kind of like, because there's always that small part where you kind of have to like figure out on your own. And most of the time, if you actually have some form of mentorship, some form of guidance, some form of like somebody that has went through an experience of some sort around you, that you'll be able to kind of like integrate with that and like apply it. But a big part of me feels like it's the same experience for everyone. 1 second, please.
All right, so I'm sorry, man. It is Sunday, and literally everywhere in the mountains is doing the. Everyone is doing their errands and preparing for winter time. It's super cute. But okay, so like, anytime you're learning something, you kind of have to understand it enough to be able to explain it to somebody else in order for it to be legit. Okay, but there's always like some form of like hinge that happens when it comes to what you're trying to learn and understand. And sometimes the knowledge is there, the information is there, you just can't connect it. You're not able to connect it. And that's where we actually evolve. It's how we form these connections. So, from my journey of code to my journey on like math and physics and like trying to understand whatever it is, like I always music. Every single time I try to understand something else, entrepreneurship, marketing, farming when I was like in Africa, logistics, all kinds of operations, even insurance at one point, and definitely the banking sector. But so like in my random activities of trying to understand these things and include them in whatever my mental mind map is, I realize that there's always how we do things that makes all the difference in the world. So the problem is like the guidance that we normally get is very much targeted to something. So the more I realize that I need to find that people that know what the fuck they're talking about, the more I realize that they're all kind of like speaking in the same language, which they can't translate because it's their own personal experience. And that's basically, for me, any decent enough YouTuber is that way when it comes to like the topic that they choose. And I was never able to find somebody that's able to that is able to show us his trains of thoughts when it mattered. Like, how did you process such a thing, such a scenario, such a feeling, such a hiccup? Right? They kind of like there's always the I know how to do it, and this is where you have to like figure it out. But there's never an actual moving process towards this is where I want. I don't know how. I know how to explain it. It's simple. If I learn how to be good at something and then I explain it, what I'm explaining is not really how I got good. I'm explaining it in the best way I learned how. But it's that learning process that is most important for anyone who is trying to adopt and move towards something that they want to do, him, her, whatever. So the ideal thing for me was to be able to experiment, and I noticed everything about these experimentations and everything about like what they bring out of you, because whether we like it or not, we have an opinion on everything, and then we formed that through how society molded us or how we grew or how we make decisions. Like, I like this color, not this color. And the mind basically captures the essence of your characteristics and tries to apply them anywhere where they make sense. And if you allow it, it will apply them everywhere it makes sense. Until one day you realize it doesn't make sense to be judging a person based on something simply because you made a decision once on a different color, right? Or maybe you decide, like, you can't judge a person for yelling when you have a loud voice naturally. So it's very much a personal thing. Like, everyone has to go through it, I understand. But the process and how you deal with it, and the shared feelings that are always kind of like coming out and distracting us, pulling us in different directions, or trying to just like strengthen our resolve, like all of them are the same thing. It's just like how you perceive them, right? Well, on what basis do you perceive differently? Is there a simpler way than just fighting yourself and being aggressive or being angry? And what happens if you're truly just in a good mood and you have like a decent amount dopamine in your life, simply because all you do is whatever comes to you, you're like, oof, this, how would I do this? How would I do that? Pop, pop, pop. And then it kind of like works a certain kind of way. So this is video 99. And video 100 would be literally me kind of like watching the first video that I made and reflecting on how far I've gone in the YouTube journey. But the whole point of this video, of this channel, is for me to be able to elaborate out loud between myself and whoever's there the kind of randomness that happens in my day, given I'm alone, I live alone, and I am trying to engage with society with the things that I have in mind. But it's just fascinating how random things affect us without us really knowing. And like, it's literally because I am doing these videos that I'm taking a lot more notes than I normally do. And that has shown me how many things interfere in your day. And then the way when I try to explain what's going on or point at something and highlight it because I need to do a video, when I highlight it, I realized the reason I highlighted it was because it mattered enough for me. Why the hell did it matter? And then suddenly a lot of things that happened that I never thought about actually engaged with it. But ultimately, my ultimate goal is to actually like build the network that I want to build and the platform, finish the actual platform that I want to build and start establishing where I want to go with it. And as I am processing the random things that are happening in my day, I am slowly beginning to realize how every single thing contributes either in that direction or in any direction but that. Because ultimately, if you are choosing something, then everything around it is kind of like not your choice. And it's a karmic thing because I'm sure I made a video out of it. But the concept of karma is balance, which literally means you are where you are because of who you are right now. It's that simple. That's the best way I can explain it right now at the current moment. Maybe I explained it differently. But everything around you right now is, if you look at it as a response to who you are, what you want, and what you're satisfied with life. Forget what you want. Fuck what you want. What are you satisfied with in your life? And once you look at yourself and you go like, okay, so this is the product of my satisfaction in life. The minute you decide you want to do something else, then ultimately everything that you haven't done towards it will come as a price because it already exists and you need to kind of like replace it. And it goes back to how I was thinking about the realities 2 days ago. When you have a current reality and then something off happens and then you realize you have to like change it, but the change has to happen from a goal of leveling up. And overall, the every single day, random things that kind of interact with you regarding your intentions on life or on the day itself and the goals and the settings and what you want to do. Every single one of those is either a direct contribution through the payment you have to pay for it or a direct contribution through the growth you have to pay for it. So everything comes with a price to sustain, to create something, to create a balanced thing. Like if I were not feeling those snippets, the days where I was like feeling a bit off, like why am I not really like satisfied with what's going on? And I wasn't actually acknowledging that, then at one point it would be heavier and heavier and heavier. And again, like there are frustrations around us, and for right now, I think because of the last couple of videos that I did, like I'm feeling much better about just the situation in general and looking at it from a more neutral perspective. But that literally means like we need to be able to realize when we're actually investing more than we should, because ultimately our single most intention should be our goal, and everything else is somebody else's reality, not yours. And if we're not strong enough to bring them to us, then we shouldn't be weak enough to like go to them or allow that reality to like take our soul. I literally say that because people form communities in many ways, in many ways, in many ways, and sometimes they're not the communities that would actually push you forward. So you have to pay the price of not being in that community for you to be able to like create your own, maybe. And then basically, if you were in that community first, then you have to pay the price of leaving it. Any way you look at it, there's a whole beautiful, there's a meaning for every video. And even though it sounds like most of the time I'm blabbing, every video I had actually came out with one or way a different perspective towards something in my life. And I really think every single time a person decides on a topic and just marks it down and starts like assessing it or just thinking about it and considering it, then your mind basically builds up on the observations that you have feelings to or interactions with or attachments to, whether consciously or unconsciously, and getting over them. And that's strength on its own, man. That's a lot of strength. I'm very proud of myself. Video 99, and after this, there's video 100. Thank you guys. Really? It's the first time I'm excited. I actually made it to 100 videos. Thank you.